stream of data as a past event. And so you experience it and you're comparing it to the past and you think, well, this happened before, but it's actually happening now. You don't remember every single variable. Your brain kind of reduces things down to the simplest possible form, and it's interpreted.
Yeah.
So,
and that's kind of what makes me think like a time loop would make sense, because I just always struggle with like what would the point of something like that be if it were, you know, intentional on the part of some greater force.
And like it's almost like this photon knew that it was being observed and retroactively changed its trajectory so that it couldn't be observed correctly. And it's just like, whoop.
And welcome to another kitchen sink microscopy. I'm Casey Rochford.
Yeah, when you get down into the weeds, you're like, is it God?
So I guess this kind of segues into a good question, Randy. What was violent crime like over there?
Violent crime mostly happened around the United States military bases, sexual crimes, rapes, and things like that.
No.
I think of the U.S. as kind of like Babylon 5 or Deep Space Nine or something. Like everybody comes here, so everybody puts a little bit of themselves into the culture. So this culture is like in the U.S. here is pretty unique.
So that's why when you hear all these horrible stories about beheadings and stuff during World War II, it's because the culture was still stuck in like, 1608 or something. And but now they've got, airplanes and cannons and ships and bombs and things. And hey, China, we're coming for you.
Share your experience with somebody else, because it may be somebody that's going through what you're going through.
You get faced with something like that and you really got like two choices. You can just give up and die, or you can just fight it. And
right. And I finally get, upper end scope and a colonoscopy, and lo and behold, I got, stage 1, stage 2 colon cancer. And it's, it immediately went from, hey, you're too young to, we need to operate, ASAP. I pulled the LeBron special, man, because my barber was like, dude, what you got some butt plugs? And I'm like, nah, man, it's, the cancer's gone, so my body's responding well again. I love it. I ain't gonna say weed's a miracle drug, but weed's a miracle drug.
Yeah, probably. A lot of people swear by it,
If all you're doing is punching these people and driving them back into the shadows, they're still racist. But they're in the
right, and that's only, while sometimes I may feel like a punch in the face will help, some people, maybe it will, but to that point, man, it drives them back and it further, smashes that wedge in and reaffirms whatever preconceived notions they may have.
If you're getting in your apartment with a key, nobody should be making any assumptions that you're up to something nefarious.
And you can see little kids playing, a Chinese kid, a Mexican, a black kid, a white kid, and all they see is, hey, there goes another little kid I can play with.
They don't bat an eye when they pull a trigger because they know they're going to get a paid vacation. And even if they did something wrong, chances are like 85 to 95% they're going to get away with it.
You got 4 people of all varying shades with 4 different opinions, but we all managed to have a, like just a healthy conversation. And that, man, that's a good kickstart for change for everybody. Everything starts with one conversation.
How to counter that as a society that I'm very much a minority in, right? If the majority is all for this idea, I'm just kind of stuck with it. But surely I'm not the only one.
This is the thing about power, is it's illusory, it's imaginary, it's essentially faith-based, kind of like religion. Like there's a few people at the top that use their position and their propaganda to convince everybody that they have to play by these particular rules. There is no such thing as a utopia or perfection, but what can function fairly smoothly, knowing that everybody wants everything they can get? You know, how can you have that?
I think they let it grow a little bit and then squashed it like a bug so people could see what happens when you try to do that. You know,
Yeah.
like let it get enough attention that people start thinking, oh, we could all do an anarchy thing, and then
I think people do that, you know, from time to time, especially when you're younger. But it's like
I don't know if they do that from time to time, but splash, right? Because that's not an aim problem. We're capable of aiming.
It's like
Right.
someone intentionally aimed their dick at the toilet seat and just let it go. Just cover the whole toilet seat.
I mean, if anything, the nitrogen in your urine is going to be good for the soil.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and here's another thing. People drink urine.
Stronger sphincter muscles in the anal region than they do in you know, coming off the bladder.
If you're still here, thanks for sticking it out, and but don't stick it out too far, or you might get arrested.
Figure out the physics and the correct angle, and start filling up the cup. And I look down, and it's getting really full, and my bladder's not empty yet.
I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad. I just took a huge dump like right in the middle of his camp. It's a thing you have to do. Everybody pees, everybody poops. All the time. It's totally normal. And, you know, you don't always have the option of driving 100 miles back to your house.
Sure, but when you've got this 50-50 split, you know, of the same mustache twirling bad guy in different colored clothes.
The only time in U.S. history that a legal document was ever so brief.
Basically, it's like Democrats want to screw over the poor people and not spend a bunch of money on war, and Republicans want to screw over the poor people and not spend a bunch of money on social programs. You know, that's
like trying to sort that out. How do you have a system that meets as many possible needs as you can achieve?
Yeah, the one core element that I think needs to be a constant in your deconstruction plan is to have this idea that the transition can't happen overnight.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what, today the Constitution should probably be written purely with emojis.
You can't possibly come up with a tool that perfectly functions both soft and hard. You know, like,
ooh, is this
I mean,
gonna turn into a porno?
Not even the penis can do that. You know? I've lost a lot of good friends, longtime friends, new friends that I thought were super cool and would be like really longtime friends, and then they come out with this crap, and they're like.
And you know, anytime I responded to something and I tried to give thoughtful responses, she would shift things to a completely different plane of conversation.
Just got picked up by Pornhub because you said fisting.
Oh, fisting with a beer in my fist too. Why now? What? Why is now the time you're freaking out?
Imagine, if you will, a universe where a cat decides to be a dick on a really hot day.